Okay, everybody. This is PowerPoint 2016. My name is Annie Yagelski, and my helper is Sue Slamar. She doesn't have her face up there. This is a meeting, so you can have your face on, or it doesn't really matter. You can undo your video if you want, and also if you have questions. We don't have that many people in this class, so if you have questions for me, just feel free to
unmute.
Yes, unmute yourself. Okay, any questions? How many people here have used PowerPoint? And you can unmute yourself and just tell me.
I've used it before.
You have. So how many?
I've used it.
Yeah, how many people haven't used it before? I am going to go through how to get on and everything like that. And at the end, I'm going to do a little PowerPoint presentation that I made up. I've done a lot of reading on this, and in most cases, when you go to a PowerPoint presentation, a lot of times people just read stuff to you, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to basically look at an image, and the person is supposed to talk about the image. It's all about storytelling. So when you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, you need to start with a story, and you need to write it out before you start. So I have a story that I'm going to show you today about adopting a cat. And I wrote it all out, and then I looked for pictures and other things that would help tell the story. And that's really what PowerPoint is about. It's about storytelling. It's not about someone reading to you and you're sitting there falling asleep. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into it and see what PowerPoint is about, and then I'm going to show you at the end of this presentation, I'm going to show you an overview of what we talked about. I didn't send out any handbook. I will be sending out a handbook after class. I also will be sending you a template for greeting cards. PowerPoint isn't just for presentations. You can make greeting cards on it. You can make posters. In most cases, if someone tells me we need a poster for a luncheon, I'll make it in PowerPoint. And you'll see why, because PowerPoint, you could move things around much easier than Word. I love Word, but it's not as graphically robust as PowerPoint. Also, what do I have to say? So I'm going to be sending you that. I'm going to also be sending you something called the rule of three. It's a grid that shows you the rule of three, and I'll show it to you when we're talking. And it basically is a grid that if you put things on the PowerPoint, and I'll show you what a PowerPoint is, you're supposed to be able to align things better. So I'm going to send you that too. And I'm also going to be sending you a list of references where you can get more training. Okay, any questions? I see two chats.
Nope.
Those are just that if they used PowerPoint or not.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share a PowerPoint screen. And hopefully it doesn't really matter though. Okay, I'm just going to talk about this right now. This is what I'm going to be sending you. This is, it's called the rule of three. And in most cases, when you want to put things in a PowerPoint presentation, you want to put them on this right here. This is called the PowerPoint, where the rules intersect. Also, never put anything in the center of a presentation. It's boring. You want to go to the right or the left, and you can overlap the center, but you don't want to put something dead center because your eyes see it, but it's pretty boring. I'm going to be sending you this so that you can use it, but it's called the rule of 3. So, but right now what we're going to do is we're going to start a presentation, and we're going to look at PowerPoint, and then I'm going to show you how to do things in it. Okay, PowerPoint is presentation software. We're going to look at it as presentation software today. As I said before, you can use it to make greeting cards. You can use it for anything. So I'm going to do a Control-N, and that gets me a new screen. Hopefully it does. Control-N. It's not working. So what I'm going to click on is I'm going to stop my screen share. I'm going to go into my screen share again. Okay, I'll just use this. Okay, when you open up PowerPoint, you're going to see the Home tab. You're going to see the Insert tab, the Design tab, the Transitions tab, the Animations tab. We're going to show you this today, the Slideshow tab, the Review tab, and the View tab. In most cases, like in any Office software, stay on the Home tab and you're not going to be in trouble. So always go back to Home, and then you'll be fine, because most everything you need is going to be in Home, and that's in any Office software program. Also at the top, you have something called the Quick Access Toolbar. And I'm going to take some of these out just so you see how I do it. The Quick Access Toolbar will only have 3 commands in it when you open it up. I'm going to go in here because I didn't get rid of this. I'm going to remove. I'm going to remove. I'm going to move this up. I'm going to save it. Okay, it's going to have the start. It's going to have the undo and redo. And you can see right now that the undo and redo are grayed. That's because I haven't done anything. As I said before, you want to stay on the Home tab. When you start a presentation, a lot of the stuff is going to be grayed out. You've got to click on the piece of paper for it to appear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on New Slide. And when I click on New Slide from the Home tab, what happens is you get some layouts. Usually your first slide is your title slide. So I'm going to click on Title Slide. And you can see I've got this grid here still. If I wanted to get rid of it, what I would do, I think I'll leave it on though. I would go into my master backslide and get rid of it, but I'm going to leave it on. Also, the other thing that you want to look at is right here, I have a ruler. When you first get onto PowerPoint, you're not going to see the ruler, and I really like the ruler. So you have to go to the View tab, and you have to click on Ruler. And if you want, you can get grid lines. I took them off. So guides and grid lines. So I took them all off. So that guide is gone now. That I click it back on, you can see that guide right here that has the background, that has the rule of 3. I'm going to take it off. Also, if you want grid lines, sometimes people like grid lines. They don't appear on the slide, neither do the guides, but they like them. So I think I'm going to make sure I get the ruler on. That's the most important thing. And I think I'll leave the guides on. Okay, so this is my title slide, and it's always a top slide in your presentation usually. And from what I've been reading, if you're going to present, the title slide should always have your name and your contact information on it. That's the most important thing. But in this case, and if you have a logo, it should appear somewhere on the slide. In this case, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to call this Louisiana Joe. And you can see right here that I spelled Louisiana wrong. It's underlined in red. So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to select Louisiana. Now I don't want a subtitle. So I'm going to click here and it says click to add subtitle. If there was nothing in there, I couldn't get rid of this box, but it says click to add subtitle, and around the subtitle, there are little handles. That means I can move this around. This is a text box. This is why I like PowerPoint. I can move it off the paper. I can move it anywhere. I can rotate it. I can do anything I want with this. And you can't do that in Word. In Word, if I wanted to do that, what I would have to do is I would have to do a couple different things in order for me to move it all over. And sometimes it doesn't work very well, but in PowerPoint, it works great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete it. So since this says click to add subtitle and has all these handles, all I have to do is click the delete key on my keyboard and it's gone. So I have Louisiana Joe, and that's nice, but what am I going to do with this? Well, in order to make this interesting, I might want to add an image. So to add an image, what I would do is I would click on the Insert tab. Then you have pictures and online pictures. Online pictures are pictures that are on the internet. I'm going to take a picture from my computer. So I'm going to click on pictures and it brings up pictures from my computer. And I'm going to find a picture of Joe. And I want it to look nice. Louisiana Joe. Okay. So I have this picture of Joe and I'm going to move it over and I might want to move it out. Or I may make it as big. I don't think I will. I was going to make it as big as if I make it as big as the slide, it's not going to work. So I might move it here. And I might move Louisiana Joe, which is a text box, over. Maybe down, maybe I'll put it on the PowerPoint. And I'm going to move it so it bleeds off. And in this case, I want Louisiana Joe to look to his name. So one thing that's wonderful about PowerPoint and all the Office products is when you click on something, you have something called Picture Tools. So I'm going to click on Picture Tools. And I'm going to rotate Louisiana Joe so that Louisiana Joe looks at his name. I'm going to click on Rotate, and then I'm going to flip him horizontal. The only time you can't flip horizontal, well, you can, but if you do that is when there's writing on something. If you flip it horizontal, it'll look like a mirror. When you hold up your name tag in a mirror, it's backwards, so the writing will be backwards. But in most cases, when you're working with a photo and you want it to flip a different way, you just click on the photo, Picture Tools comes up, then you go to Rotate, and you go to Flip Horizontal, Flip Vertical. I'm going to go to Flip Horizontal again. And I want it back to horizontal. I want him to look at his name. Okay. So in order to see if I like this, at the very bottom of the screen, let's talk about this. At the bottom of the screen, you have all these little tools. You have notes. I don't have any notes right now. In the PowerPoint presentation I'm going to send you at the end of class, there are notes, and I'm just going to send you the notes. I'll send you a picture of the presentation and the notes. In most cases, when you're going to give a PowerPoint presentation, don't send it out ahead of time. And also, give a different PowerPoint presentation, give them notes, don't give them the PowerPoint presentation. If your PowerPoint presentation is so heavy in text, that's not a presentation, that's a document. And you don't need to do a presentation, just give them the document and say, if you have any questions, give me a call, that's all. But if you have to do a presentation, less is more. Don't use a lot of text. Don't use bullet points very often. Just use images and talk to the image. Okay, so I have Louisiana Joe looking at himself. Comments, would be if you gave it to somebody and they had a comment about it. And in this case, I didn't do that. This is normal at the very bottom. The first thing is normal. Then we have the slide sorter. And we're going to look at this in a minute. The slide sorter is a way for you to rearrange slides. If you don't like the way they look, like this slide, I can move it over here. I can move it here. Especially if you have a lot of slides, you're going to want to go in the slide sorter because you can, I'm going to go back, I'm going to get out of the slide sorter. You can slide sort from the navigation pane. If I wanted to, I could sit there and move this over too. But it's much easier to do it in the slide sorter. And the slide sorter is down at the very bottom of your screen, right here. It looks like four little pieces of paper. Okay, the other thing you have is, it's like a reading. So if you had a lot of slides and you wanted to just read them, you could do that. And you just click on there's nothing here, and I'll show it to you later. But you could just sit there and read the slides. And then the other one is to show the slideshow. So those are tools that are available at the bottom of your screen. To get back to normal, you're going to go on the first tool, and I'm back to normal. To make it bigger also, if I wanted to make this slide bigger, I would just move this from the bottom, or I could click on the plus or the minus. It's 100% now. I think that should be fine. I'm going to make it a little less than 100%. It might be easier for you to read, but it's not easy for me. So, okay. So, if I wanted to add something to my quick access toolbar, so maybe I wanted to, I'm going to go in the second screen and I'm going to do a new slide. I've got my Louisiana Joe here. I'm going to click on a new slide and I'm going to click on layout and I'm going to pick slide and content. So maybe I wanted to add an image. Well, right down here, it's sort of easy. I can add an image by clicking here, but maybe I don't want to do it that way. So I'm going to click on insert and I'm going to go to pictures again. Well, I use that a lot. So if I want to insert a picture, I'm going to add it to my quick access toolbar. An easy way to add it to my quick access toolbar is to right click on it and click on add to my quick access toolbar. And then it's right up there and I get it whenever I want it. The quick access toolbar is a way for you to use things quickly. There's a lot of tools in this, in all these little tabs, like design, slideshow view. If I want to find something quickly, if I use it a lot, put it on your quick access toolbar. It's going to save you so much time. So the other thing that I use a lot on my quick access toolbar, I'm going to click on insert, is text box. So I'm going to right click on there and go to add to the quick access toolbar, and it's right there. So my insert picture and text box is there. If I click on the down arrow, I can see there are all these tools that I can put on. I could put new on if I wanted to. I could put open. I could put quick print. The only one that's not going to help you is email. You have to have Outlook on your computer to do email, which we don't do. So I could put spelling, but I'm going to go down to more commands. I can get the most popular commands. I can get commands not on the ribbon, and I can get all commands. So I'm going to click on all commands. And maybe I want add a section. And I'm going to click on add a section. Okay, I have all these right here, and maybe I don't like the way they are looking. I want it to, my quick access toolbar to reflect the way I work. So new file should be at the top. Open should be after that. Save is fine. Undo, redo. Always keep undo and redo together. If you're on the internet and you don't see undo, if you make a mistake, you're typing an email message and you make a mistake and you say, oh, how can I get it back? I had everything highlighted and I hit delete. You can get it back if you do it quickly. You hold down Control and tap the Z key. If you are on a Mac, you hold on Command and tap the Z key. And then if you want to redo it, you hold on Control and tap the Y key. On a Mac, it's 3 keys, and I don't know what it is. But so undo, redo, always keep these together. Insert picture, yes, spelling. Maybe I'll move spelling up. And I'll keep add a section where it is. I don't really need new file. I know how to use the shortcut for new file. The new shortcut for new file is Control N as in Nancy. So I'm just going to remove it, get rid of the clutter. And then I'm going to click OK. And all my quick access toolbars tools are up there. So if you ever want to add a tool to the quick access toolbar and you see it on one of your tabs, you just right click it and then add to quick access toolbar. That's how you do it really quickly. So I'm not going to do that now. Hopefully that's big. Okay. So any questions? Any questions? Guess not.
No
Okay.
question.
Yeah, what's your question?
I said no questions.
Okay. I wanted there to be a question. The other thing that you have is up at the top. It's called, it's a way for you to ask questions. It's called the tell me what you want. They got rid of it. I thought it was so cool, but they got rid of it in Office 19. It's not there anymore. So I'm not even going to go through it. But you, let's say I wanted to click here. I'm going to click on here. And drawing tools comes up, which is great, but tell me what you want, and I'll type recolor and see if it'll work. Yeah, it doesn't. I'll type shapes. And then you have all these shapes that you can make that maybe. I don't know if it's going to work. No, it doesn't, but yeah, it did. It is shape right here. So when you have questions, you just type your question, and then when you click on it, it'll do it for you. Well, they got rid of it in 2019. It doesn't work like that anymore. And I thought it was pretty cool, but it's called Interactive Help. And 16 has it, 13 doesn't have it, and 19 doesn't have it either. So they got rid of it. So, okay. And I'm going to do that. Okay. So now I got my title, and I've got my second page. I want to show you something. I'm going to take off the layout. I'm on the home tab. I'm going to click on layout. I'm going to go blank. The only way you can type in a PowerPoint presentation is to give it a text box. The text box is on Insert, Text Box. And then when you bring it, the cursor down to the piece of paper, I guess you could call it, it's going to look like a dagger. And you're going to hold down your left mouse button and drag, and it's going to give you a text box. And drawing tools comes up. So what you are doing when you make a text box, you are actually drawing. So I'm going to click on drawing tools. Always look for these tools. These tools are so helpful. If you're working with a picture tools comes up. So I can make my text box. I can make it blue. I could drag it over here. I can make it go all the way. And then I could start typing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to type, maybe I'll type my name. And it makes it as big as my name is, the text box. I can run it to the end of the piece of paper, which I want to do. And I'm going to highlight my name. I'm going to go to the Home tab. And this is where you change the font. Be careful with this. You only want to use 1 or 2 fonts in a PowerPoint presentation. And then ideally, you want to use a family of fonts. So what is a family of fonts? Garamond. I'll use Garamond, and I want Garamond to be bold. I'll use it bold. I'll use it italic. I want everything to look similar. Once in a while, I might use another font, and that is because I want someone to pay attention to something. If you have so much going on, it's just going to look messy. You need to simplify in PowerPoint. In PowerPoint, less is more. You don't need to tell everybody everything. When you go to a PowerPoint presentation and there are reams of text, that's not a presentation, that's a document. So don't even bother to do it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this to Garamond. So I'm going to click here. And I'm going to make it 44. Okay, Garamond 44. I don't like this right here because it's too close to the margin. So what I'm going to do is right here is your margin. And this is a little tool where you can take your cursor on the square and drag it over. And I'm going to drag it over to 5 spaces. So I like it that way. And also I think this is too skinny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on drawing tools and I'm going to make it 174. Okay. And in this case, I probably wanted to, I don't know if it's going to do it for me. I want it to go at the bottom. Let's see if I can do it. No. This isn't like, okay. So I'm going to click on Align Text from the Home tab, and I'm going to go to the bottom. Then I'm going to go back to Drawing Tools, and I'm going to make it 174. And then I'm going to move it up. Okay, so I don't mind that. I might want to make this a little bigger. It looks a little small. So I'm going to go back to Home, and I'll maybe make it 72. And I might have to move it a little bit. I might have to go back to the Drawing Tools. Got to be clicked on it. Yeah, I'll leave it 134. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I just put my name in there just to have a placeholder. Now I'm going to insert a picture. So I'm going to click on Pictures, and I can insert a picture from my computer, but I really want to insert a picture from online. So what we're going to do now is when you click on online, you're going to get a Bing search. And a Bing search is a way for you to search and not worry about copyright. What they do is they search Creative Commons, which is an organization where people basically donate images that you can use. You usually do have to attribute them, but you can get free images and you don't have to worry about copyright, because that's something you really do have to worry about with PowerPoint presentations. And I'll tell this story. One of my colleagues used to work at a junior college, and he was head of audiovisual, and he just put in a logo from one of their customers into a presentation, and one of the customers was there, and she said she was actually going to sue them because she said, you do not have rights to use our logo without our permission, and anyone who uses our logo has to ask permission, and you didn't do it. She didn't end up suing them, but they were looking into it, and I was quite surprised. And I thought, oh, and if she didn't come to that presentation, she'd never know we did it. So you have to be very, very aware of things you put in, especially if you're going to be sharing them in a business situation. You just can't put anything in there because everything's copyrighted. So I'm going to click on search, and what do I want to put in there? Okay, this has, so I'll put a cat in there just because.
Because you don't have enough cats on your folder.
Oh, what a cute cat down there. I saw one I liked. Well, most of these look like my cat. But I want something interesting.
That one down there was interesting with the yellow eyes.
Where?
Go down some more. It had yellow eyes. That one right there.
This one right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Ooh. He looks like he needs his eyes clean. That's what he looks like. He's poor thing. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make him as big as I can make him. And to make something as big as you can make it, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the image, and it's going to have little handles, and it's also going to have right up the top, you could rotate the image. Be careful about rotating. When you're rotating an image or anything, it will call attention to it. And sometimes you want to do that because you want the person to look at that image. But in this case, I don't want to do that. So if you rotate everything, then it's meaningless. So you don't want to do that unless it's part of your design, but you got to be very cautious about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to position my cursor on the diagonal, hold down the shift key. You hold down the shift key because it keeps the proportions. If you just do it without it, sometimes it loses them. So I'm going to hold down the shift key, and I'm going to make him as big as I can. Okay. Then at the very top, you'll see picture tools. I'm going to click on picture tools, and there's all these things I could do with picture tools. I could remove the background, which I'm not going to do. We do that in another class. I could recolor him if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that. I can add artistic effects, and I can just move my cursor over and it should do it for me. You could add all these weird artistic effects if you wanted to do it. Sometimes that's fine, especially blur. Sometimes you want to blur something because it's not that important. You're just using it as background. But in this case, I don't want to do that. Also, you can add frames around this if I needed to. I could add, make it look like a Polaroid. I don't really want to do that. What I want to do is right here under Arrange, I want to send backward or send it back. Okay. Then I have this Annie, and she's there, but I do want to see more of this kitty, and I can do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Drawing Tools, and I'm going to right click. Hopefully it will come up for me. Yeah, I'm going to right click on the text box, and I'm going to go to Format Shape. What happens is on the right, we get a dialog box, and I'm going to click on, looks like a paint can. And I'm going to click on Fill. And right here, I don't want this to be, it's fine as blue, but I want it to be more transparent so I can see more of the cat. So I'm going to make this 24. See, I can see more of the cat, and if I wanted to make it less transparent, I could just move this over to, I could make it more transparent, more transparent, more transparent. So maybe I'll make it 29. So now I can see the cat back there, and I can see, but I still have the banner up there, so it makes it more. Any questions? That cat looks terrible. Oh, well.
That you wanted an interesting one, and that one was interesting.
Oh, God. Okay, so the other thing, I've got Louisiana Joe, and I actually, as I said before, I actually wrote this out and I was playing with it and doing everything with it. So Louisiana Joe, we're just gonna leave Annie there. Let's say her name's Annie, that's me maybe. And I'm gonna click here and I'm gonna go on the first one and I'm gonna insert a new slide. And it's gonna be title and content, that's fine. And I'm going to click on picture again. I can go from either my quick access toolbar, I could go to insert picture. I've added to my quick access toolbar, or on the design that I picked, I can insert a table, insert a chart. We're going to do that later. Insert smart art, which is great. We're not going to get into that today, but it's a great tool if you need it. I'm going to insert a picture. So I'm going to click on picture. And I'm going to insert adopt. And I'm going to make adopt as big as I can. I don't think I need anything on here. That's a little too big, I think. I'm going to get rid of this by clicking on it. This is my format thing. I'm going to check down here to see what it's going to look like as a presentation. That looks fine. So I'm going to hit escape, get out of it. So this is going to be adopt. I don't need anything. It looks great. So now I'm going to click on insert, and I'm going to click on my home, not insert, and I'm going to insert a new slide. I'm going to click on new slide, and I'm going to click on a blank slide. And then I'm going to click on from up here at my quick access toolbar. I'm going to go to pictures. And I'm going to go to statistics. And I found these from the Adopt website. And I don't think it needs anything. Looks great. When you look at this, the designer had a logo, and under the logo, you put something. Everything aligns. It looks wonderful. When you're aligning stuff in PowerPoint, you want more at the bottom than at the top. Just looks nicer. If I moved it down here, doesn't look as nice. So you want it more, this is like the horizon line, you'd make it a little bit higher. And if I wanted to align it, I would click on the line and I'd click on center and it's aligned. And I did a pretty good job, it did it. So I've got it aligned in the center. Okay, so I've got my Louisiana Joe. I'm telling a story about Louisiana Joe, but first of all, I want to tell a story about Adopt. And I also want to show you how to do things. So my next one, I'm going to click on new slide and I'm going to go to title and slide again. Do we have any questions?
No questions.
Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a graph, a chart or a graph. And I'm going to click to add a title. And the title I'm going to add is euthanasia. I hope I can spell it right. By state. And I did not spell it right. And you can tell I didn't spell it right because it has the underline red. So I'm going to right click on it and it's going to spell it right. Okay. So I'm going to add a chart. And I just want you to see how to add a chart. And we're going to talk about charts. Okay. When you add a chart, make it as simple as possible. Do not put 3D in it. Just because you can do it, don't do it. Because especially in charting, if you add 3D, when people look at the chart, especially pie charts, if you add 3D to a pie chart, the pie chart that's the smallest, if it's closest to you, can look the biggest. So it doesn't tell you anything. So make sure when you pie charts are supposed to be the whole of it, a whole of something. So don't use it over time, use a line chart. In most cases, the ones that are the easiest to know about are the column and bar charts. So I think I'll use a bar chart. And click OK. And it's gonna give me an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to put California, Texas, North Carolina, Louisiana. I spelled Louisiana. And Florida. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this. No series. I'm going to delete these. I don't need these. So column 1, I'll just call it rates. I'll probably get rid of that though, but okay, so California kills 100,000 pets a year. Texas, 96,700. 47. And when we got Joe, who is my cat, he is from Louisiana, and they were going to euthanize him. So, and I know why this is the way it is. We'll put Florida there just because it's. So I guess he was sort of lucky that they brought him up here from Hurricane Barry, which I have to put into. Okay, so now you can see that I automatically have a chart here. What I do. Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, I automatically have a chart, and you can see that it starts at 0. Always make your chart start at 0. Right here, these little tools come up. Chart tools comes up at the top. I can change the way I want this to look. I could have it black. I can have it like that. I can move this all around. Remember, make it simple. Do I need to have this thing rates? Probably not. I'm going to click here, and it brings up all the things that I can add. I have euthanasia by state up there, so I can get rid of the chart title. And it makes it bigger. I can also get rid of the legend, I think. Let's see if I can. Yeah, I can get rid of the legend. If I want to, I can get rid of the grid lines, or I can add more grid lines. I'd want to leave the things there. So I have a very clean looking chart. Let's say I wanted everyone to pay attention to Louisiana. So I'm going to double click Louisiana, and I'm going to change the color of Louisiana just so everybody, it pops. I can maybe make it yellow so it pops. So everybody will pay attention to Louisiana, and I could, if I wanted to, maybe I could click on insert. Actually, I'm going to go back home. I'm going to click on draw a text box, and I could draw a text box, and I could type in whatever I wanted to. And I don't know if this is true, but I'm going to put it in. Louisiana has the 5th largest rate of animal euthanasia. So if I wanted this chart, you can tell I don't spell very good. If I wanted this chart, I'm telling this, the people looking at this chart, this is what this chart is telling them. And then I'm going to highlight this because I want them to know that this is really, really important. So when you make charts, make them very simple. Don't use 3D, and highlight what you want them to look at. And if you have to explain it to them, explain it to them. You can explain it at the top. You can put it in a text box, and you can make it look good. In most cases, I would have this chart go, I would flip this chart, but it's not going to do it for me. So I don't know why I did it that way. Let's see if I can do it. If I wanted to change all of these, I just click. I should just be able to click once, but now that I did that, it probably won't let me, and I could change all the colors on it. But let's see if I can flip this. I don't actually like this either because I want to align it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can flip the chart. So I'm click on the chart, and Chart Tools comes up, and I'm going to click on Design, Edit Data. Let's see if I could do it. I don't think it'll let me. Sort. So I'm going to sort smallest to largest. Let's see if it does it. Yeah. So I just brought up the data and I sorted it, and now it sorts California, Texas, North Carolina, Florida, and Louisiana. Any questions about charting? You just seem to know everything.
They have no questions. You're just a good teacher.
Okay, text boxes, lining text. Okay. After class, by the way, you're going to get a book. So they want to give you the book before class because I thought on page 27, I can't do that. So I want to show you how to align text. So I'm going to click on the Home tab again. Always go back home. I'm going to click on New Slide, and I'm going to get a blank slide. So I want to show you about aligning text. So remember, you always have to insert a text box to type. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to insert a text box. And I'll type Baton Rouge. Then I'm going to insert another text box. I'll do it that way. The bad thing about Office is you can do things so many different ways, but use the quick access toolbar, it'll save you a lot of time. So Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and then I'm gonna insert another text box, and I'll do Chicago. Okay. And then maybe so I'll make these bigger. I could right click on them. It's going to bring up your fonts. So I'll make this 44. Right click on this. Make this 44. Have it highlighted, I guess. And I'll make Chicago 44. So you can see them better. So I'm gonna move New Orleans over here.
Could you have done all of those at one time?
Yes, I can. If I wanted to move them all at one time, I'd hold down my control key and click on them. So then I could move everything. I can also group them. If I wanted them always to stay in this group, doesn't always work, but let's see if it will. Drawings came up because it's text boxes. I can click on group, group, so that they'll always stay like this if I wanted them to stay like this. And if I want to ungroup them, I could go to drawing tools. Under the range tab, I can go group, ungroup, and then they're not grouped anymore. So if you wanted to move 3 things at a time, you just hold down control and click on the boxes. So in this case, I am going to hold down control and I'm going to click on all the boxes, and I want to arrange them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on arrange, and I then want to click on align. I can align them left. I can align them center. I can align them right. And that's a text box. So if I wanted less sledding in the text box, I could click here and move it over. Probably easier to unclick them one at a time. I'm going to click here again. Undo, always undo. One more. So I'm going to go back to drawing tools. I'm going to go to align and align left around right, center. Right, you can also align at the top. Sometimes it doesn't work well. I can distribute them vertically. So that means that there's going to be the same amount of text between each box, same amount of white space between each box. Okay. And then I can move them over here if I wanted to, or move them over here, or move them on. I'll move them up on the PowerPoint, which would be over here, but don't have room. Okay. So I did a chart. I showed you how to manipulate text boxes. I inserted clip art. I grouped slide components. I inserted slides. Does anyone want me to show you how to do anything else?
No, that was a good start, though. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to show you a couple other things, and then I just wanted to know you don't have any burning desire to learn anything.
Can we save these as an image file, or does it just have to be a PowerPoint file?
You could save it as a PDF if you wanted to. If you wanted to save something as an image file, and I'll do that for you right away. Let's say you did want to save like this for an image file. I'm going to get rid of the grid lines. And I do this a lot with Pinterest. I make little quotes and I just save them as an image file. So I'm going to go get rid of the grid lines because that will show up in the image. And I'm going to go to view to get rid of the grid lines. And I'm going to click on guides and get rid of it. So if I want to save this as an image file, there's something called the Snipping Tool. And in my case, it's at the bottom of my screen. But if you want to find it in Office 10, you're going to click in the box right here. And if you don't have a box, don't worry about it. Just click on the start button, which is right at the lower left, and just start typing and it comes up. So I'm going to start typing Snipping Tool. And I'm going to click on Snipping Tool and it comes up and it looks like this. And they actually are getting rid of it. Excuse me?
A share screen for Snipping Tool.
Oh, it won't share? Okay, let me share the Snipping Tool then. Let's see if it'll share it for you.
Because we can't see it.
Okay. I can do that. Okay. So the snipping tool, can you see it? Can you see the rest of my screen then?
No,
Okay. So I'll talk about this and then you won't be able to see it. You'll just have to think about this. Okay. The snipping tool right here, you click on new and it has different modes. You can do free snip form. I don't like that. Rectangular, window snip. Window snips works really well if you get a problem with your computer and you get a window that pops up and you just want that window, you click on window snip, it'll just, in most cases, if it's a system window, but if it's another, like if it's on the internet, sometimes it doesn't work. And then free screens, full screen snip, you can get the full screen. I'm going to go with rectangular snip, and you're not going to see what I'm doing, but it is going to work. Can you still see that?
all we've seen is a snipping tool thing screen.
Okay. Well, I'll show you what I'm doing. So what you do is basically you cut out I'm going to click on new and your screen becomes light and there's a little crosshatch and you click it out. You move your cursor and then what you have, do you still see the slipping tool?
Yeah,
Okay. And I don't like that, so I'm going to redo it. I'm going to do a new again. Move the snipping tool out. So now what you see here, I can copy this and paste this anywhere. This is basically a JPEG. It's actually a ping. So it is a graphic now. So you can do that with any document. You can take something in a document and you can just snip it out. If I wanted to use it right away, I could just do Control-C because it is kept in your, you have a pocket in your computer that saves things. You can only save one thing at a time. It's saved there, but if I knew that I wanted to use this again, I would click on this, the save, and it's going to bring up the your file explorer, and I could put it in pictures, and I could give it a name, and I could call it statistics, whatever. And it's going to be a ping. I could save it as something else. I could save it as a GIF. I could save it as a JPEG, or I could save it as an HTML. In most cases, I usually save it as a ping, but in most cases, just so you know, a JPEG file, a lot of people like that, but if you're going to if you save something as a JPEG and you're going to make it bigger, like in a PowerPoint presentation, like we did today when we took something and expanded it, JPEGs are nice when they're little, but when they get bigger, they look very out of focus. And the reason they do is because JPEGs are compressed and they take pieces of pixels out of them. They're easy to send over the internet. If you keep them small, they look great, but if you make them bigger, they don't. So think about that when you're using a JPEG. Okay, let me share this. I'll be back to this. Okay. Okay, so I'm done with my slides. I thought I would get done with more, but I didn't. So I've told my story, and my story about Louisiana Joe had that he came from a hurricane and all these things. One thing I want to tell you is if you want to...
Hi, Deb, if you have a hold for Jean Marie Johnson, it's a DVD of Finding Your Roots. Please bring it down to the third step. She has been picked for a hold. Again, that's Jean Marie, all one name, Johnson, Finding Your Roots DVD. Thank you.
Okay, so if you are going to be giving a presentation, most people after 10 minutes, and I know that this is almost an hour, most people after 10 minutes are sleeping. they don't care. So you want to break it up. You probably want to put a video in there. If you put a video in there, which you can do, you can upload it from your computer, or you can get it from the internet. And the new version of PowerPoint 16 and 19, you actually can embed YouTube videos. But like today, Google went down. It's owned by YouTube is owned by Google. You would have a problem. So in most cases, it's probably good if you would download the video and upload it. So it shouldn't be more than 30 seconds though, because it'll actually not be good. It shouldn't be more than 30 seconds because people get bored with that too. The most important thing is your audience, and this is the communication tool. It's PowerPoint. You want them to look at something and know what it is right away. They shouldn't have to look at a screen and try to figure it out. That's why, like in charts, this is important. You told them right here, Louisiana, and you highlighted it. You added contrast, so you know that this is the most important thing. This is what we're talking about. So, okay, I'm done with my PowerPoint presentation. What do I have to do now? I have to add transitions. And how do I do that? Well, you click on the transition tab, click on the down arrow. You have all these different transitions you could add. You can add fractured. You could add doors. In most cases, the only time you want something dramatic is if you want the audience to pay attention. If it's been a long presentation and you want them to remember it. Put things that you want to be memorable in the beginning and the end of a presentation. If you put it in the middle, people aren't going to remember. Usually, I would think put it in the end. So I'm going to just pick a very nice fade. And so if I wanted to show this, I would click on the slideshow tab, click on from beginning, and then you can add music and things to this, especially if this was just going to be, maybe you were going to put this up on a website, which you can do. You might want to add some music to it, or narration. You can do that too. Ooh. So the main thing when you're making a PowerPoint presentation is to keep it simple. There's a lot of things you can use in PowerPoint. A lot of wonderful things like move her out. I'm going to just delete the Annie out. I'm going to make this a little smaller. There's wonderful picture things you can use, but should I? You know, especially here. For this, I can make this 3D if I wanted to. But should I make it 3D? No, because people aren't going to. Here, I put it here. I can add all these elements to it. I can error bars. I could do all that. But if I'm looking at it, it's just going to be more complicated than it needs to be. So everything needs to be simple. When you're looking at a PowerPoint presentation, you need to say a PowerPoint presentation. You need to see what can I get rid of. Like, do you need that down there? The table? No. So get rid of it. You don't need it. The graph should tell you right away what it is. So you don't need these extra stuff. Just because you can do it, just because you have all these fonts that you could add, should you do it? No. The main thing that you got to think of is your audience and how it communicates to your audience. If you don't communicate well, I wouldn't even worry about it. So, any questions? Sue?
No questions.
Okay. If you do have questions, feel free to contact us. If you wanted to do a PowerPoint and you said, you know, I wanted to know if you can look at it, we have done that here. So just send it to us and we'll look at it and we'll tell you, you know, what you can improve on it. And I'm sorry you can't come into the library, but you can send it to us and we can give you some tips, because we have done PowerPoints here and we, you know, seem to know a lot about them. So if you ever have any questions, I will share one other screen. Well, I'll be sending you a whole lot of things. So
Okay, thank you.
yes. Okay. So thank you for attending. And if you have any questions, just give us a call.